grandmother from Leketo, my grandfather from Laravetsu. And they met in Boise and married there and started their family. Our grandfather had spent about 5 years up in the mountains and then found a way to come to town and stay in town. And his 3 daughters grew up as American. Their first language was Basque. My mother said she went to school not knowing any English at all, but doesn't remember that being hard. It picked up from there. And then each sister had a little easier time with English as the one before them spoke. Then their father, our grandfather, was killed, hit by a train when my mother was about 13 years old. And they remained in Boise and grew up. The 3 sisters went to work after high school. They had the opportunity one time to travel back to the Basque country with their mother after they'd saved and saved for years, and it was a huge trip for them. Her first opportunity to go home. Our grandfather never had a chance to go back. But then the story took a real turn. My mother met a German Irishman from Minnesota at St. John's Cathedral. He had served Mass because there was no altar boy. And they met in the sacristy at St. John's and struck up a relationship. And eventually married. He became a teacher in Boise and eventually a professor at Boise State. And our family, 4 boys and a girl, grew up typical Basque Americans in Boise, dancing in the little kids dancing group, participating at the Basque Center, a folkloric connection to the Basque. But my father had the crazy idea, after going on a summer program to Aranzazui through a Basque Studies program, spent a month studying in the Basque country, and arrived at the idea to take Basque students from Boise and from the West to study in the Basque country. It was during the times of Franco, 1974-75, and he took 100 people to study in the Basque country, to a little town of Oñati. And a crazier idea I don't know that you can have. Without any, in fact, a bomb was exploded a few weeks before we went there. And the cause was never really known, that maybe this was the CIA coming to the Basque country. But our whole family and about 92 other people, 93 other people, spent a whole year studying in the Basque country. For our family, what was a folkloric exposure became a much more direct relationship with the Basque culture and with the Basque. And give one other story and I'll close quickly, but my brother and I, my next brother John, were at a festival in another town. And we had seen the Guardia Civil and the repression in the Basque country. And on the way back from this festival, a Guardia Civil with a machine gun came out of the bushes and really confronted us, never spoke, but I have never been more afraid at any time in my life. You know, you're 15 years old and confronted with that. Fairly late at night, no one else around. And that experience and those experiences throughout that year, Franco was still alive, took what was a familiar and folkloric connection and made it political. Without, almost whether you wanted to or not, a political layer and a really intense experience. And I think all of us, and certainly in my case, resolved if we ever had opportunities to get the Basque cause out and to get the Basque right to self-determination as part of any work that we might do or any opportunity like that, that we would take it. And strangely enough, I was in the Idaho legislature many years later, appointed there after my father died, and along with Pete Senarusa, because the times were tough in the Basque Country again, it had gotten much better for many years after Franco died, but it was a time, Asnar was the prime minister, a very tough time. Friends of ours were being arrested again and tortured, and it was a very tough time. And Pete Senarusa and I sponsored a memorial in the Basque legislature that had a non-binding memorial, that because the Spanish ambassador at the time took offense to it, got international attention. And it became a story for a while, and the Associated Press and many others picked it up. And in our little way, like I had resolved, and I think we had resolved, and Pete was certainly of that mind, we tried to push the story of the Basque and the cause of the Basque out. And it is, I guess, a testament that opportunities may come that you do not expect. In that little way, we hope to push it along. And I think that still informs me and our family. The connections are still our family we were able to get to know quite well over there. In fact, our great aunt gave to us 30 years of correspondence that our grandfather had written back to his father. We have a sort of diary through those letters of his experiences, and that's a very rare thing to have something like that. So our family was able to get that from our relatives and inform the family story better through those letters. He used to sign, our grandfather used to sign on, I think I'll close with this, he used to sign letters to his father. At the end of every letter, he'd say, "I am the son who will never forget." And that's what he would say to his father at the end of the letters. And I like to think that we are part of that family that won't forget. And we hope to continue that through the lines of family that are still around. So we appreciate the opportunity to be here, and thank the Smithsonian and everyone for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you very much.